Hi, I'm Rahil Philippos and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about Pirola, which is a new variant of COVID-19. We also talk about how Odisha's Directorate of Prisons came up with a solution to address the problem of overcrowding of prisons in the state. But first, we talk about the preparation for the upcoming G20 Summit. The summit, which will take place over the next 2 days in New Delhi, will host leaders from some of the most powerful nations in the world. And this is why the government has been revamping and beautifying the capital for the past several weeks. To achieve this goal, multiple central and Delhi government agencies have collaborated to enhance the city's appearance. One of these agencies is the Delhi Public Works Department, or PWD, which has allocated approximately 45 crore rupees to ensure that public spaces in the capital are prepared in a timely manner to welcome the delegates. When we spoke to the Indian Express's Gayatri Mani, she told us that the PWD's primary focus was on beautifying key areas of the city, especially around Pragati Maidan, where the summit will be taking place.
So their key focus was on to beautifying, landscaping and decoration, of course, like illumination.
Now, the first thing delegates and leaders will see upon arriving in India today is the airport stretch road. And Gayatri says that is precisely where the PWD, in collaboration with other central agencies such as the National Highways Authority of India, directed their efforts.
Previously also it was good. It was not in a bad condition. But yeah, of course, like as officials told me that the sidewalks and the footpaths, they were like the plantation was not that much. And also an official told me that they had to remove about like 15,000 metric ton of Malwa waste. So when they started repairing the stretch, the footpaths and the main carriageway, and also this stretch had a huge waterlogging problem. The drainage, the drain lines were old, so they had to revamp the entire drain line.
And this concern over waterlogging wasn't limited to just the airport road. As many of you would recall, the capital city experienced one of the worst floods in its history earlier this year when the Yamuna River overflowed and inundated most parts of Delhi. And Gayatri explains that this issue became a major concern for the PWD.
Till last year, they had like even the minister, PWD Atishi, in a recent interview told us that they had like 15 waterlogging hotspots. But after the recent flooding, the key hotspots increased to 45. So they have made arrangements like they have increased pumping sets, mobile pumps. They have prepared to station all their mobile pumps and apart from other arrangements at the area, like at the entire ITPO area, if any case of emergency, like a flooding emergency takes place, so they can easily tackle the situation.
Now, as we mentioned before, the main priority for the PWD was to revamp and beautify the city. So to accomplish this, they focused on the installation of fountains, statues, and the widespread planting of flowers across Delhi. In fact, over the past year, the department has installed 109 fountains and 49 statues in the city, crafted by artists from across the country.
All these statues and fountains were not from Delhi. They got it made from different places across the country. Like the Shivling statues were from Odisha. And some other statues like the pink sandstone, the Dholpur sandstone fountains and statues were from Rajasthan. So they ordered it and they delivered. Like all happened through tendering process, but it was a difficult task for them also because during the installation and redevelopment work, they also said that they filed complaint with the police also that how theft incidents took place, about like the nozzles of the fountains were stolen. It happened recently at Delhi Gate. And on airports, road officials did mention that, yes, they faced theft, like the wires, especially the aluminium material used to be like got stolen. So yeah, such incidents they faced. On other stretches like ITPO or airport, officials also complained about how even people stopped their car and stole pots installed for beautification, like for plantation.
And apart from statues, the city also witnessed various murals depicting Indian culture being painted on large stretches of walls. Here, Gayatri tells us about the murals created on the walls surrounding Bhairon Marg, located in close proximity to Pragati Maidan.
We can see the entire wall reading Jai Siya Ram. It has a huge picture of Hanuman, and the next wall has a picture of Ram, Krishna with gopis, a huge picture of Vishnu resting, and so there are some walls like which has a picture of Valmiki teaching love and kush, and also there is a wall which has some shlokas written on it. So a particular wall, as they say, depicts the stories from Ramayana. Also there are some stories from Mahabharata as well.
Now, these depictions of Indian culture have raised concerns because the stories portrayed on the murals predominantly represent the Hindu community. In fact, one of the installations, a shivling statue on the airport road, became a focal point of a political dispute between Delhi's Aam Aadmi Party government and the Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena.
Aam Aadmi Party leaders like Sanjay Singh, Durgesh Pathak, they even held a press conference. They were of course, not happy with the shivling statues installed on the airport road. There was a huge controversy over the statue. So when I asked the PWD Minister Atishi about the installation, about the ongoing controversy over this shivling statue, she said, and I quote, "Faith is a very big thing in our country and it's not about one religion. And shivling," she said, "if you see, is established in particular directions. Pure water is offered. There are rituals that are followed. So religious sentiments have definitely been hurt." She also mentioned the tweets that by LG Vinay Kumar Saxena, and said if you go through his Twitter thread or Twitter timeline, you will find a lot of his picture and the pictures of shivling, he himself has been to that area. So she was the religious sentiments of the people, a larger section has been hurt and the LG should take his responsibility.
And Gayatri says that the beautification project led to other issues as well, including the displacement of people residing in slums, the need to shield their homes from sight, and implementing heavy security measures that restrict their freedom of movement.
Over the last few months, several demolition drives took place, and by both different civic agencies like DDA, PWD, MCD. So during this period, slums, one of the slums situated on the main roads of Pragati Maidan, Bhairav Marg again near Bhairav Marg Mandir, was demolished. But it was again on the orders of the court. We went around several slums in Delhi and we found few slums one on the Pragati Maidan, Bhairav Marg Road, and there was this slum near Munir Khan's Nelson Mandela Road. It's the slum is situated right behind the JNU campus. So it was covered completely with the green sheets, and there is a place on Airport Road, Mehram Nagar. It's basically a village. So people are living there. They have a concern that during the 3-day period, there will be huge restrictions and people will be not allowed to move around as they usually during the normal days.
And when Gayatri spoke to a woman who lives in one of the areas that have been covered and are now under surveillance, she told her the impact of this beautification on her income.
She said, yeah, we are happy that they didn't demolish our house and we are here. We were not relocated. But her concern is that due to the restrictions and their houses that have been covered with the green sheets and the restrictions, she cannot sell, her business is hit. The people who live on that footpath, they make these statues and idols of Ganesh, Durga, for Durga Puja. And so it's a festive season Janmashtami and Durga Puja is also around. So her concern was everything is covered. And also across Delhi, at key places like Akshardham or ITPO or Pragati Maidan or the Munirka or other places, all the street vendors have been removed and many people are out of jobs. Yeah, so they are okay, G20 is here. It's a good pride for our country. But for the poor, our business are hit. This is what people who live in slums are saying.
And next we talk about a new variant of COVID-19. For the last few months, India's COVID caseload has been at an all-time low. The few cases that have been reported in states like Maharashtra have also been milder than what we had seen up until early 2022. But even as the COVID pandemic remains a thing of the past for many of us, there are health experts worldwide who have been tracking the evolution of the virus. And now they have identified an all-new mutated variant that they are referring to as B8286 or Pirola. Up until August end, the World Health Organization or WHO had reported only about 21 cases of the Pirola variant globally. And the good news is that none of these cases have been identified in India so far. The Indian Express's Anona Dutt joins us in this segment to tell us about this new variant and whether it is a cause for concern. So Anona, what is India's COVID caseload looking like at the moment?
So right now, COVID cases are at an all-time low in India. We have about 500 active cases or so, most of which are being reported from Maharashtra, which has been a trend in India where huge percentage of the cases get reported from Maharashtra. But the important thing with the 500 number is that we are not testing as much anymore. Till the time COVID-19 was a public health emergency of international concern, we were testing more. Even doctors in hospitals were prescribing more tests because there was always a possibility of COVID infection getting serious. But that is not happening anymore. So we have to take that 500 number with a pinch of salt. But yes, the numbers continue to remain low at the moment.
Right. And from a global perspective, are we seeing an uptick in cases? And is that potentially because of this new Pirola variant?
So since the Omicron variant started circulating, which was for India, Jan 2022 was, I think, the peak. The infections have been milder as compared to the original variant as well as the devastating Delta variant. Now, scientists cannot say that it is just because of the variant. It's also because a huge proportion of the population got immunity from the previous infections. A lot of people got immunity because they were vaccinated. So we cannot just say that it is milder, but yes, we know that Omicron tends to infect the upper respiratory tract more often. Now with, the new variants that are getting detected like Eris and Pirola. Now, Pirola has people concerned because it has a lot of mutations on the spike protein. There are more than 30 mutations. And spike protein is important because that's what gets attached to the human cells and helps the virus enter the body. Now, even though scientists have seen these mutations on Pirola, they do not know what these mutations actually mean. Does it mean that it would cause more severe infection? Does it mean that it would spread faster? We do not know that yet. Still August 31st, I think, WHO said that there had only been some 21 reported cases of Pirola. So it's not enough data to figure out whether these mutations have an impact on how the virus affects us.
Right. And are the symptoms of Pirola similar to what we've seen before?
So first of all, Pirola has not been detected yet in India. And again, like I said, it doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just that we haven't detected it yet. But from countries that have detected, there's not too much detail that is emerging right now. But UK SHA, which is the agency from United Kingdom that looks at these variants, they have said in the first 3 cases of the Pirola that they reported, they saw very mild symptoms with one person not even having any respiratory symptoms at all. So from that, we think it is likely to be the same as what we are seeing right now, which is most people with COVID-19 getting upper respiratory symptoms like a blocked nose, coughing, sore throat, things like that.
Okay, and while we've not officially recorded any Pirola cases, what are some of the precautionary measures we can adopt to best protect ourselves in case India does see an uptick in such cases?
So the thing with COVID is that be it any variant, the way to protect ourselves remains the same. We need to wash our hands frequently, especially if you're touching our eyes, nose and mouth. And doctors say that people should wear masks in public places, especially if they're going to crowded public places, say in the upcoming festive season. So not just people who are older or have some sort of comorbidity like diabetes or hypertension who are at a higher risk of severe disease from COVID, but also people who have some symptoms of respiratory infection, fever, etc. Both groups of people should put on a mask when they are going out in public, especially crowded places. Other than that, for vaccines, doctors say whatever we've had so far is fine. And probably, as scientists are already doing, they're looking at newer types of vaccines. And if we have to get vaccinated in the future, we should probably opt for an updated version where the newer variants are accounted for. But at the moment, most people in India seem to have enough immunity to the virus unless it drastically changes.
And in the end, we talk about Odisha. Last week, the Odisha Directorate of Prisons came up with a solution to address the problem of overcrowding of prisons in the state. They propose to attach GPS-enabled tracking or monitoring devices on the ankles of under-trial prisoners who are accused of non-heinous crimes. And if the Odisha government accepts this proposal, then it would become the first state to start using ankle monitors in the country. However, after the proposal was submitted by the prison authorities, human rights activists came out with certain concerns over the usage of ankle monitors on the under-trial prisoners. To know more about the issue, my colleague Ucha Sarmin speaks to the Indian Express's Sujit Bishoy in this segment.
Sujit, we understand that overcrowding is the main reason why the Directorate of Prisons brought this proposal. So, can you first tell us how big of a problem is overcrowding for the prisons in Odisha?
Well, this problem of overcrowding or congestion in jails is a common problem in India. According to the official data of National Crime Records Bureau, the occupancy rate is around 120% or 130% compared to the sanction strength. Although prisons in Odisha doesn't have that much problem compared to other states, but a few jails in Odisha have the same problems of overcrowding or congestion. Odisha has as such 87 prisons. And the sanction strength is 23,000. Compared to that, Odisha, now there are 20,000 prisoners are there in these 87 prisons. But 80% of these prisoners are UTPs, under trial prisoners, who are yet to be convicted by any court of law. So the Directorate of Prison and Correctional Services, they have come up with this innovative idea, or you can say they are calling it technology-based solution to solve the problem of overcrowding in prisons. So basically, this idea is to implement it on a pilot basis, and based on its success, they are planning to expand it to other prisons.
Right, and apart from addressing the issue of overcrowding, can you tell us what are the benefits the prison authorities will get out of this system?
See, apart from solving these congestion problem or problem of overcrowding in jails, the authorities are also saying that it will save a huge amount to the exchequer, because around 1 lakh is being spent per prisoner every year. And this tracking device will cost hardly 10 or 15,000, though the exact amount is yet to be decided. So they are saying that it will also save huge amount and also help the under trial prisoners to lead a normal life. So according to them, it's a win-win situation for both the jail authorities and the UTPs as well.
Right, and can you tell us how will the system work? Are there concerns that the under trial prisoners may try to escape justice if they are let out of prison?
There are concerns, but according to the proposals, the monitoring devices or the tracking device will be fitted on the ankle of a prisoner, and it will be monitored by the local police. The entire movement of the UTP will be monitored by the police and jail authorities. And also it will be tamper-proof. There are concerns that if prisoners will be allowed to go home with this tracking device, they may break it or run away. So there are similar concerns, but according to the jail authorities, this device will be tamper-proof, and even if they would try to interfere with the system or try to fiddle with it, so an alarm will be raised at the local police stations. So actions will be taken accordingly. And also they are trying to fit this tracking device not on all prisoners. It will be only for those who are facing non-heinous crimes and facing where conviction is less than 7 years. So 3 departments of Odisha government, like Directorate of Prison, then the Information Technology Department, because they'll have to procure these devices, and the Law Department as far as the legal aspects are concerned. So these 3 departments have developed this out-of-box idea, which they are calling, and placed it before the government for approval. And if it be implemented, Odisha will be the first state in the country to implement such a system.
Okay, but would all the under trial prisoners have to get these ankle monitors, or would they be given a choice between the monitors and the prison?
that discussion is also going on. It will be implemented on a voluntary basis only if this under trial prisoner will give his consent, and also the consent of court is required before fitting this tracking device.
Right, and shouldn't many people have raised concerns that this system may also result in the violation of rights of the under trial prisoners, right?
Absolutely. That concern has also been raised by the human rights activists. They are basically raising questions over a breach of privacy and violation of human rights and also the legal ramifications. Because according to the right activist, if this tracking device will be fitted to someone's body or let's say ankle as proposed by the prison director, so their entire data, movement plan and everything will be stored in a system. So that they are raising that it will violate the right to privacy. But we also discussed this issue with the authorities. According to them, they are saying that they will have more consultation with this activist so that this concern or doubt will be clear. Because they are saying if a under trial prisoner who is facing charges and not convicted by court, why should he be or she be in four walls of a jail? So he has full right to lead a normal life and to earn a livelihood like any other. And their plan is to fit it to the ankle so that there will be no stigma, because it will be covered if someone will wear a trouser. So it will also not create any problem or social stigma for them. And this system, though it's not been implemented in India yet, many developed countries like USA, UK has also implemented, and other European countries have also implemented this system, fitting tracking devices to the convict facing non-heinous crimes. So that please, the jail authorities are taking that if it will be implemented in Orissa, say for the first time in India, it will be a game changer to solve this problem of overcrowding in jails.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. It was written and produced by me, Rahil Philippos, Shashank Bhargav and Ucha Sadman, who originally spoke to Gayatri for the first segment. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone who you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.